Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this amazing time. I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure that we all are excited to be here as well. And this was put together based on the fact that I've been having some research done into school trends in the last 5 years and how they have changed and what the trajectory is going to be looking like. So, even though I know that a lot of people are predicting more gloom and doom for 2024, I also know that for those that will be prepared, it would be a time um to use that word to cash out, right? And so I thought that it would be good to connect with forward thinking school leaders that would want to position their schools at the forefront of these changes and move forward with that. All right, so without wasting too much time, I'll just start by introducing myself just so everyone knows who I am. I guess some people know who I am and some people don't know who I am, but whether you know who I am or not, I thank you for trusting me enough to give me 1 hour of your time today. And I trust that that time will be worth it. And the value and the insights that you will get from this webinar will set you on the right path for proper positioning in 2024. All right. So, my name is Susan Charles. And first of all, before I'm anything else, I'm a teacher. I believe that this is what I was born to do. This is why I exist. And if I had to choose my career all over again, I will choose this same career. So I'm a teacher. I'm the director of Birchill Consulting. I'm the founder of Teacher and Loving It. So Teacher and Loving It started as a Facebook group where we just wanted to share best practices and provide a community where educators could connect, ask questions, share thoughts and ideas, and just communicate and collaborate. And now we also have the annual Teacher and Loving It professional development weekends. By we've been able to take it to one other state apart from River State, and we're hopeful that in 2024 we would take it to even more states around Nigeria. Okay, so so let me just think some more people want to join in. So I'll just admit them and then we'll continue. Okay. All right. So apart from that, I am a fellow of the African Young Leader Fellowship Program. I am the planning partner for the National Creative Writing Competition. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And this one is something I just decided to own. I am a multi-potentialite. Now, some people say, oh, you're a jack of all trades and you're a master of none, right? But there are people who know how to do different things and know how to do them very well. And for a long time, I found myself in that space, or I am that person. And I found myself in a place where I kept feeling as though it wasn't okay for people to know I could do so many things. But I realized that's who I am, and it's time to step out of the shadows and take ownership of who I am and all of the things I can do. So, yes, I am a multi potentialite. I am a wife. I'm a mom of one interesting young lady for now, and I'm a teacher. So, it's not a mistake that I have teacher at the beginning and teacher at the end. Um, First of all, I'm a teacher, and finally, I'm a teacher. So, regardless of what this journey brings, this is the path I have chosen, and I will gladly continue to own it. So, I'd like to find out who we have in the room. I'd like some people who are here to introduce themselves, please. So I'll be calling you based off of the name I see here, and then I would like you to introduce yourself and what state you're joining in from, because I'm aware that we have people from different places here. So I'll be calling the first person. I'll be calling just the way the names appear here. Biobele Wise, could you please unmute yourself and tell us where you're joining us from? Okay, so maybe she's not here. So okay, so we have Esther Chibuzo. Where are you joining us from? Port Harcourt. Great. So thank you for being here. Um, we have CTGS School. I'd like to know where you're joining in from. You can just type in the chat box, and I would gladly welcome you. So far, only one person has put in where they're joining, their name and where they're joining in from in the chat box. So I'll just give 3 minutes for that so that I can welcome everyone who puts in the chat box where they're joining in from. Okay. Okay, we have Noyin from Lagos. Nice to have you here, ma'am. Thank you for joining in. Okay, so Mrs. Okeke, you have your hands raised. Okay, so while we're waiting for you, we have Okorite Kiriko from Port Harcourt. Welcome. We have Vivian from Port Harcourt, River State. Welcome. Oh, Port Harcourt is taking the crowd. We have Mrs. Kerry Ogidegbe from Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining in. We have Miss Yaki from Bayelsa. Thank you for joining in. We have Dr. Bill Bele Wise from Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining in. We have Mr. Edafi Doja from Ugeli Delta State. Thank you for joining in. Okay, we have Excelente. I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining in. Okay, so okay, we have Miss Muna from Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining in. Okay, so we have quite a couple of hands raised. So I'd like to call Doris Tobin. Would you like to say something before we move on? We have Sarah Jedidiah from Lagos. Thank you for joining in. Okay. So I believe that our 3 minutes for introductions are up. So wherever you're joining us from, thank you so much for joining in. And we are so thrilled to have you here. Right? So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the thick of things. So there is something that my team and I came up with a couple of years ago, and we said we like to believe that building a successful school brand is as easy as ABC, right? And that's not ABC as in the alphabet, it's an acronym for 3 words. So it's as easy as looking into administration, looking into business, and looking into curriculum, right? So let's remember that. And then when we go on, you would now decide where exactly your own school needs to tweak the approach to guarantee school growth in 2024. Now, you cannot dominate what you do not understand, right? And we have seen education coming with so many disruptions and so many changes in the past few years, and it's not stopping anytime soon. The changes are not stopping anytime soon, right? And so I thought that it would be good to look at some disruptions that are expected in 2024 so that we can better position ourselves for success and brace against what is coming and prepare accordingly. So, what are these disruptions? Well, um, a lot of companies that do business trends and economic trends for um, for the new year, they had a lot to say. But what we have here, please remember, everyone, you need to be on mute so that we can make the best out of our time here. But one thing stood out, and all of them had the common grounds I'm going to be sharing today, right? And I feel like these are the most important disruptions that will be coming, and we need to be aware of them so that we can use them to our benefit and we can position correctly, right? So the very first one, very strange too, is cost cutting and value reevaluation. A lot of people, companies have been downsizing, companies are packing up after 10 years, after 20 years, after 50 years. Some others are cutting costs. Parents are also cutting costs. I mean, in recent times, we've seen parents looking for cheaper options. Of course, cheaper is relative because what some people call cheap, some people still see as expensive, right? But people are looking to cut costs. And in my experience, we usually have parents who call us to recommend schools, and they call sometimes to share their frustrations and seek advice from us. And one thing we have seen is parents are going back to the drawing board, looking at the value that they're getting for the amount that they're paying, right? So parents are a bit more interested in the kind of value that they are getting, and that's going to increase in 2024, especially because we have a lot of parenting communities now. So we have parenting thought leaders. So these parents are hearing things, and so they'll be coming with questions that might seem strange to you or that might seem out of character, but this is one thing you should expect in 2024. People will be wanting to cut costs even more, and they will want to reevaluate the value that they are getting for the amount that they are paying. The next thing, interestingly, is for years, it always seemed as though whatever was foreign was good, whatever was homegrown was maybe inferior or not as good. But 2024, one of the things it will bring is an increased sense of cultural pride and heritage awareness. People are going to be questioning, okay, yes, I understand that you want to teach us best practices and all of that, but can't we do it our own way? Why must it be British or American? Or, can't we learn what we need to learn to have an international minded approach, but also have a deep cultural heritage? So this is one thing that you should expect in 2024. We're going to be having an increased sense of cultural pride and heritage awareness. And then, of course, this one has been there for a while, but it's going to take a more aggressive approach in 2024, and that's gamification. How learning is going to be gamified, and children would want to use gamification to learn, right? So this is another disruption to expect in 2024. We're going to have increased gamification in education. We're going to have increased technology penetration, as if it wasn't enough before. This time is going to be a lot more. And we'll be looking at what elements of technology penetration would be on the rise in 2024. Then we would have this one. For me, is bittersweet because people are already complaining, and we know how difficult it has been for some of us who are recruiting to even find qualified people or people who are interested in teaching, as teaching is right now. So if we thought it was bad before, trust me, 2024 we would have increased qualified teacher burnout. More people are going to say, you know what, I'm done with this teaching thing, I'm done. And then we're going to have an increased qualified teacher shortage. And then we would have increased parent awareness. So like I said before, there are a lot of parenting communities, both in person and virtual, and we are seeing parenting thought leaders on the rise. And so parents have access to information they did not have before. And so they'll be asking questions that they probably were not asking before. So these are things we need to expect in 2024. To those who are not prepared, this will just sound like a message of doom, because this year has been particularly trying for you as a school leader, for us as school leaders, really. The cost of doing business in Nigeria, the economic hardship, the mass migration, it's just been one thing after the other, right? So this is not a message of doom. This is just a message to keep us all aware, so that when we position, we know exactly what we are looking out for. So I would just want to know that everyone is following. So if you have followed the 6 disruptions I've shared, I'd like you to share your favorite emoji, or the emoji that best describes how you feel after seeing these 6 disruptions that will be coming in 2024. So I'd like you to share your favorite reaction. I'll wait for 30 seconds. Let me see reactions. If I'll see people who are excited and say, yay, we're rightly positioned, or say, oh, we're in big trouble, something. Okay, so do we have any reactions? Just use the reaction button and share your favorite emoji. Okay, so we have people who are using a heart shape. We have people who are like, oh no. We have people who are clapping. Okay, I'm waiting. More reactions, please. More reactions, please. Okay, good. Yes, there's a lot of food for thought. There's no need to cry, really. There's no need to cry. It's just what it is, and we have to brace up, right? And change the approach. So the objective remains the same. However, the process or the approach is what would change, right? So thank you for the heart emojis and the thumbs up emojis. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll quickly run through and then we would have time for questions and answers. Okay, so the slides are not a lot so that we can have time for questions and answer, because I believe that everyone here, we're all school leaders. We all have, even though we have different types of schools, different sizes of schools, basically the problems are the same. Okay, all right. So now that we know all of this, what exactly can we do about it? What exactly can we do about it? All right. So remember at the beginning, I said that building a successful school brand is as easy as ABC. I'd like to know if anyone was following. So if you remember what ABC stands for, please put it in the chat box and then we can move on. So we said building a successful school brand is as easy as ABC. So it means that whatever solutions we're sharing will be in line with ABC. So who remembers ABC? What are we talking about when we say ABC? Good. Administration, business, curriculum. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you for being such attentive students, as it were, today. Right, thank you. So remember to mute so that we can make the best or the most of our time here. All right. Thank you. Okay, so we have a couple of people who are not on mute. Okay. All right. So what exactly can we do? Let's get right to it. All right. So if you know me very well, you know I don't do fluff. I give as practical as possible so that you can even take this information and hit the ground running with it as early as tomorrow if you are ready to implement. Like I said before, I promise you that if you take these nuggets and use it to plan for 2024, it is not rocket science, but I can bet you that your school will experience growth. Right? So the first thing is, as school leaders, we need to realize that we are human. I like to say this to people, and I say it to myself a lot. You are not El Shaddai. If you try to do everything yourself, you shall die. Right? So I understand that, oh, well, I need to be there, I need to be on top of things. But you must realize that at some point, if you must build a lasting brand, you cannot micromanage every component of your administration by yourself. And so you need to document as many of your processes as possible. Keep them short, keep them simple, but keep them documented. Whatever is not written down does not exist. What is not written down does not exist. So you must remember to document. And then right now, with the advent of school management software, learning management software, accounting software, all sorts of things to make our work smarter, you must automate your processes as much as possible. The ones that can be automated, automate and save yourself the stress of working hard where others are working smart and getting twice as much work done in half the time. So you must understand that you need to document and automate your processes as much as you can, right? That's the first thing you need to do. And then the second thing, as a school leader, you are not just a head teacher. The landscape of what it means to be a school leader has changed drastically in the last 2, 3 years, right? So you must see yourself as some sort of business development officer. Even if your school has a business development officer, you must understand the elements of the business that you are leading, right? So you need to think about your target customer. Not every school is for every type of person. There are people who want really big schools that have 25 children in the classroom and say, yes, I want my children to be challenged and I want a lot of competition in the classroom. We have people who say, oh no, I don't like that kind of classroom. I would want a classroom where they have maybe 9 people or something. We have some people that will say, oh well, education is the best I can give to my child, so I want to spend as much as possible on their primary or secondary education. And there are people who will say, oh well, I don't want to waste all my money there because there are other things that need attention, so I'll just look for a school that's okay. Whatever we can get from there, we can supplement. So you need to understand exactly who you are trying to meet. Many times when I see school adverts, I see schools that are advertising to everybody. So they're advertising to everybody and advertising to nobody. We must understand that we have a particular niche or class of people that we are targeting, and we need to analyze those customers. We need to get reviews. I know that in every school you have the parents that are like your champions and everything you do is good. They cannot find any fault in you. Find those people, get reviews from them. And the ones that are always complaining too, find those ones and get some reviews from them. What about your school do they like? What about your school don't they like? If you don't have reviews, how do you build a culture of continuous improvement? You must understand what you are doing right and what you need to do better. So look for the most quarrelsome ones and find out what their pain points are. That might give you an inkling into what you need to improve to get your target customers coming in. And then find out, what do your parents really want, right? I put together a list of what parents want regardless of the kind of school that they have, or regardless of the kind of school that they're going to. And it was interesting that most of them, yeah, pretty much want the same things. But I'd like us to share in the chat box, what do you think parents really want? Why do parents choose one school over another? What do they want? I'm waiting for your responses in the chat box before we move further. What do you think parents really want? You know, what will draw them to your school over maybe the school next door, or what will draw them to another school and they say, I don't think this school is for me. What do you think they really want? I'm waiting. Anyone? I have a list here, but I don't want to read out my list. Okay, yes. So they want value at an affordable price. Very true. What else? They want a safe environment. Exactly. What else? So is that all they want? Just value at an affordable price and a safe environment? Is that all we think? Okay, a school that can instill discipline. Exactly. They want outstanding performance of their children. Exactly. What else? Okay, yes, they want extracurricular activities and not just academics. Exactly. Anything else? They want a conducive learning environment. They want effective teaching and learning. Exactly. So I think these pretty much will cover what every parent wants, regardless of the type of school that it is. So you must understand what your parents really want out of a school so that you can better position yourself, right? Then, where do your target parents like to go? You must answer that question. The parents that your school attracts, the kind of parents that your school has been attracting for the last maybe 2 years, where are the kind of places they like to go? Where can they be found? That may give you some insight as to who they are or how to craft your marketing to attract them. Recently, I learned that there are various types of consumer psychology, and time will fail us to share. But one thing I know is one of the major ones that parents that cuts across parents of different schools is loss aversion. Parents are afraid to lose their money. Parents are afraid to build trust. So they want to see testimonials. They want to see results from that school before they know that, okay, I can trust this person with my money, or I can trust these people with my children, or this is a place that I would like to be. So you need to ask yourself, where do your target parents like to go? And then who influences their buying decisions? Whether we like it or not, there are some mothers that have cliques in quotes, and they have friends that they can tell people about the school, and before you know it, 5 of their friends are coming in, or they will complain and complain until before you know it, 5 of their friends are leaving as well. So you need to understand who influences their buying decisions. Sometimes it's just friends. Sometimes, like I said earlier, we have these parenting thought leaders now. So you must understand who is influencing the buying decisions of the kind of parents that your school is attracting, right? And then the people that can afford your school fees, for example, where do they gather? You must ask yourself that. The kind of people that can afford your school, or that earn the kind of money that can pay for your school, where do they gather? Where do they go? It's important that you ask yourself these questions, and asking yourself these 5 questions will help you to analyze your target customer. And so that way, when you are crafting messages, you understand how to reach your own market. For example, I have 2 different client schools in the last year. One of them, I gave advice to have a parent event. One of them, I gave an idea to have a parent event, and just appreciate parents and host them and let them know that they would not be increasing school fees. And then another one, I gave them an idea to have not just a PTA meeting, but more like a parent seminar, and then show them where the school currently is and where the school is going in the next 3 years, and show them that what they are currently paying cannot take the school to that place, and so there will be a school fee increase. Now, for both schools, they are both 2 different types of schools, and the advice would have looked like, oh, well, the same consultant is giving 2 schools advice that seem to be at variance with each other. But you know what? The school that did not increase school fees had increased enrollment. The school that increased school fees had increased enrollment as well. Yes, they had people that dropped, but the people who enrolled made up for those that left, and the number increased. So you must understand your own market, right? So that you are not marketing to everybody and to nobody. All right. Next, you must be available and attentive. These parents, yes, as school leaders, we are going through a lot right now. We are going through a lot. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
everyone is going through something, but we must understand that as school leaders, the bottom line for us is the naira and kobo, right? So, um, yes, some parents can be very annoying, some parents can be very demanding, some parents can be unrealistic, but because our bottom line, okay, so it just seems like people are trying to present over me. Could you please stop, or else we might have to remove those people? Okay, so can people see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. All right. So please, I don't know what we are pressing, but please stop trying to present, or else we might have to take you out. All right. So, as school leaders, for us, the bottom line is the naira and kobo. So we should learn to read the room every time. There are some people who come in with complaints. They are not really complaining, they just want a listening ear. There are some that have genuine problems, they're just looking for support. There are some that come as if it may seem like they're coming at the school, whereas all they really want is just someone to listen and someone who knows where they are and where they want to be, right? So we must learn to be attentive and available, and we must train our administrative staff to be available and attentive and read the room every time, okay? And then I like this one. I mean, for the health of every human being, it is important to know your numbers. And it is also important for the health of every business that you must know your numbers. As a school leader, what are your numbers? I once met a school leader that had 6 children in her school and told me that in 1 year she wanted to go from 6 children to 200 children. And she was very positive about it and said, oh, we're going to get 200 children in Jesus' name. And I said, amen. But madam, amen is not a strategy. Now, let me walk you through this. I'm a person of faith myself, but let me walk you through this just so you know that what you are saying is not faith. If you pardon my English, it's foolishness. Now, how many classrooms do you have ready? Because they were still building at the time. And they had 6 classrooms ready. I said, what's your class size? She said, well, I don't want a big class that will jam-pack children. So I want personalized care. So what we would have is a class size of 12. And I asked her, 12 times 6. She said 72. I said, so if we wave the magic wand in this place, all that this building can take right now is 72. Where are you going to put the remaining children that you are looking for out of the 200? And she started to look at me like a deer caught in the headlights. And that's the truth. A lot of us are saying, oh, well, our school will grow. My school must grow. But we don't know our numbers. So if you must take a proactive approach to it, you must know your numbers. What are these numbers? First of all, tell yourself the truth. Is your school running at a loss right now? There's nothing wrong if the school is running at a loss. All you need to do is know how to bring yourself up to speed. Is your school breaking even? Is your school making profit? What percentage of profit is your school making? You must have these numbers at your fingertips. Except even if you are hired help. I mean, even when I was head of academics, at some point we had to do some sort of audit to know if what we're bringing in at least can cover the operational costs of the school. So you must understand your numbers, and then you must know the maximum capacity of your school. How many children, if your school is at maximum capacity to say, oh, well, we are full, we need to have a waiting list now. What number? How many? Not, I want many. That's not a plan. That's not a strategy. What is the exact number? Right? And then you must think about it. How many new enrollments do you really need? So let's say you were running at a loss with 54 children, for example. How many children do you need to at least break even in 1 year? Maybe you need 60 children or you need 70 children to break even. But then you need say about 71 children and upward to make profit, but you're at 54. You now know that, okay, well, 70 minus 54, that's about 16. Okay, so what can I do to get at least 16 children? I may not make profit, but at least let me break even. Or if I have 71, I have crossed into the profit margin is negligible, but at least I have crossed over into I've crossed over away from running at a loss. So, how many children do you really need? How many enrollments do you really need? You need to know that number as well, right? And then you must ask yourself, how creative can you be with finances? One thing I have seen, I saw this in Bielsa. I don't know how effective it was, but I've always thought about it. I mean, I've been doing this monthly contribution with a couple of friends and colleagues, and it's a good way to raise funds interest free. So, how about you have some sort of group where you have school leaders who can come up and say, okay, we can give XYZ every month, and one person takes it all, and you do this XYZ with it. I've seen things like that. Yes, they have their pros and cons, and they have their success stories and their horror stories as well. But you need to think about how creative you can be with finances. Truth is, sometimes you don't even know what you can do until you try, or you are in a tight fix, and you have to become really creative. So, how creative can you be with finances before reaching out for loan facilities and all of that? And even if you are considering loan facilities, do you have um, another source of income that can mitigate against loss in the event that the project or the venture you're putting it into in the school doesn't pan out as you plan for? You must understand these things. You must ask yourself these questions. Then this one is something that a lot of us take a reactive approach to, and then suddenly in June you start seeing admission, admission, admission. Oh, with our conducive classroom, with our AC classroom, oh, we are the best for your school scholarship exam. You just see is the same kind of marketing all over the place, and most of the time it goes over people's heads. That's the truth. Some people would get music and then share flyers. I'd like to ask, when was the last time you actually read a flyer? For me, I can't even remember, right? So you must plan and budget for marketing that appeals to your audience. So again, who is your audience? Who are you reaching out to? When you plan for the marketing that appeals to your audience, it's not enough for it to appeal to them. Does it convert to leads? Does it generate leads? There's something called the admission funnel. Now, the admission funnel uses the times 100 approach, meaning if I want to get 10 new children, I need to put my business before 1,000 people. Okay? So I need 1,000 people to at least be aware that my business exists. That's awareness, the first step of the admission funnel. And then out of the 1,000 people, some of them, will just end at awareness. And then some of them will become attracted to the school. But not every one of them that becomes attracted will even take the next step. The next step, some of them that are attracted would come in for inquiries or call for inquiries or ask people about the school. For those that make inquiries, some of them would actually come and apply to the school. For those of them that apply, some of them will be given admission. For those of them that are given admission, some of them will eventually enroll. You can agree with me that it's not every exam that your children write, especially for those who write common entrance exams. They write so many, but then they end up choosing one. That's the same thing that happens when parents are school shopping, right? So you must understand who you are trying to reach, where they are. And one thing you can do differently in 2024 is to be a noticeable presence in community-based events where your audience can be found. But you must ensure that the kind of events you go to, even though your audience can be found there, should align with your core values. For example, if there is some kind of event happening with maybe alcohol and cigarettes, Even though the people that you want to reach are there, that does not align with the core values of a school. So you shouldn't be in that kind of place. I saw that Shell was doing, they had this Shell trade fair or something like that. And I saw that a couple of schools went there and took stands. I'm like, very good move. I went for the Women in Port Harcourt um, event, and I saw that one or two schools took stands there. I'm like, very good. So look for community-based events where your audience can be found, but these events must align with your core values. Trisha B said something really exciting. She said, if you put your business before your audience many times, when a buying decision needs to be made, your name will be on the table. So you must ensure that you are a noticeable presence in front of your target audience. And then you must stay ahead of the pack. Whether we like it or not, since 2020, attention spans have reduced. Children found out that you stick them in class for 45 minutes to teach them one topic. But during the pandemic, you will do a 10-minute video and teach them the exact same thing. So these children are no longer ready to sit down for 45 minutes when they can learn it in 10 minutes. So nano learning, breaking your learning into small bits, is a thing. Learn to use it. Gone are the days where you sit children in the classroom and then they say, oh, well, they need their handwriting needs to get better, so they need to copy their notes, they need to do this and do that. I'm not against those things, but what's the end game? You must ask yourself, what's the end game of these things that we're making our children do? Understand that nano learning is the new normal. Then, to stay ahead of the pack, find the cheerleaders in your community, whether they are teachers that are excited that they're working in your school, or staff that are excited about working in your school, or parents that are excited about being in your school. Find them, amplify their voices. You can do short video testimonials of them saying why they love the school, or text, written text, something. But learn to amplify the voices of the cheerleaders in your community. They would help to make noise about the good that is going on in your community. Then this is another one that breaks my heart. Social media. Schools, almost every school is on social media, but they're not, most of them are not using it correctly. Most of what I see, you see, oh, happy birthday to this person, happy birthday to that person. Or somebody goes for a competition and say, wow, we did this and that. Or you see, oh, wow, we did color day, red day, yellow day, blue day. And it's just, I mean, if I've seen one, I've seen them all, right? So it is important that you use storytelling. Storytelling. People want emotional connections. People don't want admission, admission, admission. Come and buy. They work well, well. They kill mosquito well, well. They want something that they can connect to and say, oh, wow, are you serious? Oh, let me see this. So use storytelling, craft a narrative. Craft a narrative that there's a particular school I follow. Of course, for the sake of this, I would not call the name. But one thing they've been able to do, they've been able to sell the narrative that they are a fun learning environment. Like every child that walks in there cannot but learn. No child there is afraid of learning. No child there is struggling. That's the narrative you get if you follow them on social media. You must use social media to tell the story of your school. What's going on? Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do the way you do? People need to connect with the story behind your brand. So you must learn to use social media storytelling and then exceed expectations. Parents are struggling with discipline. You must understand and remember that discipline is not punishment. Discipline has never been punishment, and discipline will never be punishment. I have a teenager at home, and I was taking the tough mom stance with her. And I was getting horrible results, and it was like we were at each other's throats. And I decided to back down and use a different approach, use positive reinforcement instead. I can't believe I'm living with the same teenager. Do we still have issues? Once in a while, yes, we do. But I cannot even believe that I'm living with the same person. She's more driven. I don't have to chase her around to read. She saw her results. She could analyze it and see why she failed. And she's taking better decisions. So you must understand that a lot of parents don't even know what to do when it comes to discipline. So we must exceed expectations with discipline and relationship management. Remember that you are not just a teacher, or the teachers should remember that they are not just teachers of French or chemistry teachers or math teachers. They are teachers of children. They are teachers of young adults. You must exceed your expectations with your student teacher ratio. How many students do you think that a teacher should care for in your class? What's your class size? And then individualized attention. This is one thing that will be on the rise next year. If you thought it was already there right now, parents are questioning it even more, and it will be more at the forefront. So schools that cater to each child as if they are the only ones would be the champions of 2024. Then no one can deny that a lot of people, even some of us are school leaders, if not that we're school leaders, we would have just gone to do something else. I remember in 2020 when I ventured into selling snails. I'm like, what? This kind of money in snails? Please, I'm not even going back to the classroom. I am done. I'm no longer Susan the consultant. I'm now Susan the snail merchant. Right? A lot of people are struggling with teacher burnout. I know a teacher. She is a fantastic and very passionate teacher, but she has a temper issue, and over time when she's stressed out, she just blows up, and she can blow up with anyone, and she said, you know what, let me just go back to my business. And she's doing excellently well with her business, making almost 4 times what she was making as a teacher. But she called me yesterday and said, Miss Susan, yes, I'm making money, but I'm not finding the joy. I want to go back to teach, but when I remember the stress involved and all of that, it just keeps me afraid. So we can reduce teacher burnout in our community with the subtraction mindset rather than say, oh, let's add this, let's add. Think more about, okay, the things that we are currently doing. What can we um what can we add, or what can we remove, right? So the subtraction mindset is that you are looking at your processes, looking at your offerings, and seeing things that may not really be necessary that you might remove, or things that you can automate. So yes, I want my teachers to do their lesson notes and all of that. We have AI for that now. How can you digitize that process to reduce the stress that they go through? How can you use AI or use the tech processes that are available to reduce maybe the stress that comes with certain exam questions, the stress that comes with the administrative roles that teachers face? How do you reduce the workload in quotes? Today I read of a head teacher in the UK that I think there was an inspection by Ofsted, and there were so many issues with her school, and she had probably been trying her best and struggling, and the woman said, you know what, and she committed suicide. People are going through so much in their personal lives, and for some of them it's spilling over into their professional life. So think about how you can reduce teacher burnout so that the quality teachers that you already have, or the teachers you have invested in, for the most part, would want to continue with the job. They will continue to find your school community attractive. Then you must review your offerings. Yes, we all teach math, English, and science. Yes, the Nigerian curriculum expects this, the British curriculum expects that. But we as professionals must draw the line somewhere, and that somewhere is by looking at what you actually offer, right? You must enrich your co-curricular activities. What co-curricular activities do you have? I don't like to call them extracurricular, because it seems like, okay, when the curriculum has been done, then you add these extra ones. But when you say co-curricular, it means that they go side by side, meaning no education is complete if all I get is math, English, and science. What happens to the other things? Because there are children who may never be able to solve 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 10, but the sports, that's where they will shine, right? The competitions, that's where they will shine. So you must enrich your co-curricular activities. You must review content that is not relevant to the new world of work. You must remove that content. I see some secondary schools where in SS1 the children will do 21 subjects because they are trying to find out where the children will do well, when we have simple things like career personality tests that the children can do in JS3, and by the time they're coming back in SS1, those results have been analyzed, and the children see a guidance counselor that will say, oh, okay, based on your results, this is what I see. I see that you are better suited to this, and this is why I think so. Show them their results. that already cuts off a lot of the headache that children will have with doing 21 subjects or 25 subjects. So you must review what they're doing. What content is not relevant to what the world is or where the world is going right now? You must review and remove if necessary. And then you must stay relevant with technology, whether we like it or not. Technology has come to stay. And there are certain soft skills that should become part of your mainstream curriculum, not an option. Now, I don't know why, but in the last 2 years, blockchain technology they've been pushing the frontiers for blockchain technology for children to learn more about it, because a lot of jobs would be relying on blockchain technology, especially for safety and engineering and all of that. And from the projections, is going to take more of a center stage in 2024. Thankfully, we have a company here in River State that I think they have the first blockchain technology curriculum in Africa for young children. So if you would need that, if you would need information about that, in the WhatsApp group, we can share that information. Then coding. I mean, I don't have to even talk about that. Coding and programming. You must get your children on board with that mainstream, not as a side attraction. And then creativity is non-negotiable, right? Creativity is non-negotiable. It must be part of your mainstream curriculum. And then public speaking. I went for a course in 2015 and I stumbled upon this public speaking company, and they had just the curriculum was beautiful, simple, and I tried the little that they shared with children. I was teaching primary school at the time, and the result was phenomenal. And I thought to myself, I reached out to them a couple of months ago and said, you know what if you put something like this together for African schools? What do you think about that? And they're excited to get on board with that. So I'll be reaching out to them and working more closely with them so that they can put together a public speaking curriculum that will cut across different classes, so that schools can get on board with it and put it in their mainstream curriculum. So you must stay relevant with technology, and you must stay relevant with these soft skills if your school must grow in 2024. So so far, I hope that this has been very helpful to us, and these and many more of these types of conversations are what we'll be having at the ABC conference that will be holding on the 27th of January here in the city of Port Harcourt. We also have the online option because we've been getting a lot of inquiries about people who are in other states that would like to join in. So on the 27th, we'll be having the in-person event. And for those who are interested in the virtual event, we'll fix another date for that. We'll be providing more information about the ABC conference in the WhatsApp group. And so at this point, I would like to ask us, do we have any questions? If you do have any questions, you can go off mute and ask your question. While we are waiting for questions, I would appreciate some sort of feedback in the chat box, just so I know that people are, you have gotten value from everything we have discussed here today. So I would appreciate some feedback. I would like to see feedback in the chat box while you can ask your questions or you can type your questions. Okay,
No.
so have Benedicta. Benedicta, when you're done with your question, we'll have Williams Vivian with her question. So Benedicta, you have the floor now.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening,
Good evening.
everyone. Okay, it's about the public speaking. And what do
Yes.
we do? Because you see, this job is more difficult in the rural area where you have teachers who are not even interested in teaching, and
Yeah.
then we have people that most of the customers are are feeding like from hand to mouth. They are self-employed or they are into trading, and the income are very very low. And
Yeah.
then the school fees are low. There are no budget for digital devices. Like for instance, we do not have teachers who have access to Android phones. And even though when they have access to Android phones, they do not have these basic digital skills that they can pass on to the learner. Like in my school now, I'm like one of the person that's trying to introduce my students to using Opera Mini, knowing what Facebook is, trying to do all those creative things like working with cardboard. And then this time I actually went to the school and it has influences teachers. And my problem is, what about schools that in the rural areas who do not even know about these, who do not have people to influence them, who do not have people to open their eyes to these things? What would be
Okay.
the because the state and
Okay.
administration?
So if I get you correctly, you are saying, um, okay, you can go on mute now, please. If I get you correctly, you are saying that what about children that are in rural areas and all of, like I said before, you have to realize that you are not El Shaddai, you cannot do everything. But in your own little way, what can you do to amplify the good for the children that you are reaching out to? Do you understand? First of all, you must tell yourself the truth. You cannot reach everybody, but the few that you can reach, do the best you can with what you have. I've been opportune to teach in a rural school before, and I found out that I was teaching SS1, and the children had no idea what nouns were and verbs were and all of that. Yes, I did all of the fancy things, but I did have the tools I was able to use. I think then um I had brighter grammar. So I would read the brighter grammar and I would look for fun ways to present it to them in the class. We'll sing about it, we'll rap about it, we'll talk about it and all. And so it was engaging for them. The first week I started to teach that class, I had 40 children. By the end of that first week, or by the end of the second week, I had 95 children. They would sit at the windows, they were sitting everywhere because these children wanted to learn. Do you understand? So with you do the best you can with what you have and understand that you can't reach everybody. If you try to reach everybody, you definitely cannot. So try the little you can do and just give it your best shot. All right. Okay, so thank you so much for that. All right, Williams Vivian, on to you now, please.
Right. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Miss
Thank
Vivian.
you so much for this training. I really appreciate. Okay, my question. We just started a school in the month of September, and location. I think location is becoming an issue for us. How do you handle a situation where you have a very, very standard Montessori school? However, the location, the area is just developing, and then people in that environment are feeling that, oh, you are trying to exploit them with the kind of fees you charge. We started off in September, and currently we have 18 children by the grace of God. But mostly we still get a lot of inquiries. These parents actually want their children to come in, but when they come in and they're like the fees, and and then they compare you with the schools around, there's a huge difference. But actually what we are offering is different. As a school leader, what would you advise a school leader in that position so that you don't end up running at a loss if you keep giving discounts, please, ma'am? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Now, first of all, you must remember that you know what you are offering. They don't know what you're offering. Even if you tell them what you're offering, they don't understand it. So what you need to do is, with the 18 that you have, turn those 18 into your ambassadors, right? Let people see these 18 and say there's something different about them. And think about marketing strategies that you can use that will, in quotes, force the people who have been coming for inquiries and all of that to see that what you offer is different. You can have events where you invite them. I don't know what kind of events would work in your immediate environment. We can talk about that later. But find ways to amplify, like I said, amplify the good in your community and let these people see it. And keep putting the benefits, keep selling the benefits. You're not selling the product in quotes. You are selling the benefits of the product to them. Keep putting the benefits of the product in front of them. Trust me, the people who complain that Mama Put is selling her rice too expensive will be happy to go to Kilimanjaro and pay that extra because of value. Do you understand? So it's important that you keep putting the benefits of being in your community, what benefits they will get over and above another. Not putting down another school, but just keep putting your benefits in front of them. And then you must become more creative with your marketing. Where, again, I ask you, where can your customers be found? What kind of places do they go? Where do they gather? The people who can afford your fees in that area, what kind of places do they go to? What are their spending patterns? You must analyze your customers so that when you are crafting the benefits that you want to sell, they understand the value because they can relate. You can't sell a diamond to a pig. No matter how beautiful the diamond is, the pig would not understand the value that the diamond has. So you must understand within your location, there are people that live around there that go to schools far away from where your school is. So why should they go there when you are here? You need to learn how to communicate your value to your market that would be within your environment. All right? Okay, so do we
All
have
right.
any other questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So, in the absence of any questions, I'd like to say thank you so much, everyone. Although I feel a bit sad, a lot of people didn't respond when I asked for feedback. Only maybe 2 or 3 people responded to feedback. I do hope that if you didn't share your feedback here, you will share your feedback in the WhatsApp group as well. Okay? Thank you so much for joining in. For those of you that are here, we hope to see you at the ABC conference happening on the 27th of January here in Port Harcourt. And for those of you that are joining us from other states, we hope to see you at the virtual ABC conference as well. Thank you so much. And I trust that with these nuggets, this will
Hello, ma.
start your school on a growth trajectory for 2024.
Hello, ma.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you. So I'll stop recording now. And if you have any other questions,
Hello, ma.
feel free to ask. But just give me a minute. Let me stop recording, and then you can ask your questions. All right.